Jackass Forever premieres in theaters as Netflix debuts its 2022 movie promo. A trailer for a dramatic making of The Godfather is released, and we give our final predictions for the Oscar nominations set to go out this Tuesday. I'm Joe Acierno.
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained.
Before we talk about Netflix's massive lineup for movies this year, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications whether you're on Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, the Podcast Index, Stitcher, and more. If you want to help out the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you can, and follow our social media pages that are listed in the description. Before we get into the trailer for The Offer, that maybe or maybe not we wouldn't be able to refuse, haha, Netflix released its sort of, I guess you could call it like a trailer for the entire year of its like movie calendar this past Thursday. And one thing I noticed between this year and last year is that I was surprised both times with how much they seem to have on the docket waiting for us, if that makes sense. Because it just seems like they're really just pumping out like so many movies in one year, so many high profile stars that include the likes of Adam Sandler, Charlize Theron, Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill, Chris Hemsworth. I could go on and on and on. And I'm like, yeah, Netflix is like a big deal, but I just can't always help but wonder where they get the money to make all these films.
Yeah, it's crazy that, when I saw the trailer, I was just like, wow, there's a lot of interesting concepts and interesting stories within this trailer that I'm actually interested in. A few sci-fi I'm kind of down for. And the big one at the end, which was the most surprising one, because I was just like, wow, this is coming out already this soon. I'm excited. So I think and it's about like I think 88 feature films from Netflix releasing this year. That is an insane
That's
amount.
more than a movie a week. It's just freaking crazy. And for that big thing at the end, are you and I thinking the same thing? Little snippet with Daniel Craig in there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was very surprised to see Knives Out 2 being announced. Because, like, here's the thing. I remember reading a headline, like, maybe a week or so ago, that, like, oh, Knives Out 2 is set to have, like, a fall festival debut. Then I see it on this, like, on the promo for Netflix, and I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't know it was going to be a Netflix film. That's really interesting.
Exactly. I remember, because the original Knives Out came in theaters. It came out in theaters and that sort of thing. And, considering the impact COVID had in the entertainment industry, the film industry, and specifically, I think how things have been more recently with like Spider-Man No Way Home and other films, I was like, okay, maybe Knives Out will actually be in theaters, but no, it's going to be on Netflix, which is freaking everyone can see it at that point. So I think that's anywhere. I still would have preferred to have seen it in the theater. I think that's a personal thing because I like Knives Out that much. So I just thought in the movie theater it would be cool. But again, some of the films that Netflix is producing and releasing this year, I was not expecting to be as interested as I was before I decided to watch the trailer. Because I was just like, knowing Netflix, they toss a lot of stuff. They want to see what sticks. And again, that's what a lot of streaming services do. But I didn't expect to like or be interested in a lot of the projects that they showed.
It's interesting that you talk about Knives Out, that it's not going to be in theaters. I'm actually looking it up online right now, and I'm on MSN.com, and it actually is supposed to be in theaters as well.
Oh.
So it's going to be on Netflix and and in theaters too, because again, Netflix isn't just a streaming service. Like, they literally make their own films too, right? Like, as we're seeing with this whole movie promo, and they have released those films into theaters. I mean, just take a look at The Irishman. The Irishman premiered in theaters a couple weeks before it went on Netflix. So we are going to be able to see it in theaters, at least as of this moment, as of us recording this podcast episode.
I'm down. Cool. All right.
but yeah, no, I just remember like seeing a bunch of people walk on a boat, and I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, they give a little glance to the camera. Then Daniel Craig comes into focus, and it says Knives Out 2. I'm like, holy shit. I had no idea Netflix had anything to do with the making of this film. That's great.
I guess I was just so used to that when streaming services made movies, that is specifically on the streaming service and not necessarily in theaters. So again, changing with the times, I'm just like, all right, you know what? Okay, cool.
something that I saw too is, again, not just with like the Knives Out things, like the cast of the movie, like kind of turning to the camera, like waving a little bit, like throughout like the entire promo, actors are like talking to the camera, you know what I mean, throughout the
Mm-hmm.
promo, in the middle of the scenes of the movies. And I think to myself, like, imagine, like, it just made me think about it, like, having to film that promo for Netflix in the middle of making that actual film. And I think it'd be kind of funny if, like, that was, like, part of, like, an actual movie. Like, for example, like, I think it was in Enola Holmes 2. I think, yeah, the bit from Enola Holmes 2. Henry Cavill's just like, oh, come to a world, like, where, like, mystery is about, or, like, some whatever pretentious shit that they have, that they have them say to the camera. And I just thought it'd be funny if, like, that was, like, a part of the film. Like someone comes in and just like, who are you talking to? I'm like, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the thing for that bit that they're the bit they were doing where they're all it didn't necessarily feel right to me. I understood they wanted to try to explain that all these stories and you're getting it from different actors, but again, it depends on the movie. Like Enola Holmes 2, I thought it worked the best because in the first one, like that's just what she did as a character as well.
Yeah.
So I just find a bit of that out of place, and I was just like, just show me clips of these movies, and that's it. You don't need to be talking to me.
So, I mean, honestly, looks like they're gonna have a pretty interesting year,
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. So we'll just have to see what happens. And again, like I always just can't help but wonder. Like anytime I think about something massive being undertaken like this, like again, are they gonna make their returns? Are they going to be able to support themselves? Again, I think they will, because again, Netflix is huge. Like that's the biggest name, at least to my knowledge, in streaming at the moment. But we'll just have to see what happens.
Exactly.
Before we talk about the Oscar nominations going out on Tuesday, the trailer for a limited series based on the making of the iconic film The Godfather, with the film's producer Albert S. Ruddy at the center of the story. A trailer for that was released this past week. It stars Miles Teller as Albert S. Ruddy, Colin Hanks, Dan Folger as Francis Ford Coppola, the film's director and co-screenwriter, and Patrick Gallo as Mario Puzo, the author of the original novel. Now, Darius, I know you sent this to me. I know you gave me this topic with me in mind. So what what led you to do
I
that?
mean, I remember you said you love Godfather, so I was like, I wonder if he's interested in this.
You know me so well. You know me so well. The Godfather, next to Goodfellas, is my favorite film of all time. And I know I'm not alone in this one. If you look at many top movie lists, like, many best movie lists, The Godfather's at the top of many of those. And this is one of those instances where I'm kind of annoyed I don't have Paramount Plus, because I honestly would have loved to see this, because I am honestly intrigued as to why they decided to make this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, you know me, Joe. I'm not big on like Godfather. I appreciate the films, and everything. I always say that, but I'm interested in the show. I'm actually really interested.
I'm curious as far as like the disconnects between your interest in the film and the interest in the show. Have you ever seen the original
I
film?
have, but for some reason, I think it has to also do with one of the actors that I really like, and then I think the tone of it, I was just like, I'm actually down for this. So maybe my interest has changed over time. That could be a possibility, but it's like, I don't know. I found it. I like the tone. I really did. I was just like, this is pretty cool. I actually want to see this.
Yeah. And it just makes you wonder too, like how, like what kind of shenanigans went on, like during the making of this film. Because I have heard certain things about like certain people being difficult to work
Mm-hmm.
with, and I remember, like I remember either my father or like my grandparents telling me that like when the original film premiered in 1972, like there was like a huge like mob hit or something like that. Again, like don't quote me on that one, but like I do remember hearing like that kind of story. So
Okay.
just makes me wonder, like again, what kind of forces were at work during the making of this film. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to even making of films, I also always love seeing like certain behind the scenes, either actual behind the scenes or even some sort of biopic revolving around it. And I guess for me, considering this is the making of The Godfather, I was like, you know what, I'm interested to see that. I like Miles Teller as an actor, and there are just certain
Hmm.
things going on that I was just like, I kind of want Paramount Plus just to watch this in another show, but I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah,
Yeah. So, like I said, like I said, I'm pissed on that Paramount Plus because I really would like to see this, And it's funny too. Like I always feel like there's some kind of story with the making of Francis Ford Coppola's films. Like obviously, with The Godfather, like Apocalypse Now, like that movie was hell to make. Like I think they were actually attacked by like the locals while filming in like Southeast Asia or wherever exactly they filmed it. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. Imagine having the career that guy's had.
Oof.
And it's just funny too. Like I remember seeing Dan Folger, and I knew like with the beard. And I'm like, oh shit, like that's Francis Ford Coppola, and he actually, like with the beard and everything, he actually kind of looks a lot like him. So I thought that was cool how they did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, this took me by a loop because I didn't expect to be interested in it, and I was just like, Joe's gonna like this, and the fact that we're both interested in this, I was like, yeah, all right, something happened.
Yep. Yeah, so again, what do you guys think of the offer? Is it an offer that you can refuse? Is it an offer that you can't refuse? Ha ha ha! Shut your bitch mouth, Joe. Leave your thoughts. Leave your thoughts. Anything having to do with this, leave your thoughts in that comment section. Alrighty. Now, before we give you our final predictions for the Oscar nominations this coming Tuesday, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications whether you're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, and more. If you want to help out the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you can, and follow our social media pages that are listed in the description. Before we review Jackass Forever. So, as it turns out, the Oscar nominations do go out on Tuesday. Now, just a couple of little changes. Now, when it comes to Best Picture, like they had that rule the last few years, they're like, oh, it can range between 5 and 10. Now it's back to 10 nominees for Best Picture. And at least on my end, the films that I expect to lead the pack in terms of like getting the most nominations are West Side Story. I just thought it was an incredibly well-done film from Spielberg, and it somehow managed to do the impossible and surpass the original, in my opinion. May or may not be a controversial opinion. Don't particularly care. Belfast, the semi-autobiography of writer director Kenneth Branagh growing up during the social unrest in Northern Ireland in 1969. Dune, obviously, we both sung our praises about Dune so many times. I've said before, this is like in my opinion, the sum total of the movie-making experience. And the last film that I feel like is going to do well, that has been doing well, is a film called The Power of the Dog. And I've tried watching it 3 different times on Netflix, and I've knocked out all 3 times. Maybe it's just like I was tired while watching it. I just, for whatever reason, just could not get through it. So I don't know. What do you think of that diagnosis? Because I do expect those 4 films in particular to do well across the board in terms of direct, obviously Best Picture, directing, writing, technical categories. Acting for all of them except for maybe Dune. I don't think Dune is going to get any acting nominations, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, when it comes to like some of the Oscar nominations, and I do agree with you that those are probably going to be the wolves among the pack. Those are going to be the ones that are really going to be highlighted in a lot of different categories. But I also, and it's like a part of me is like there's a movie we saw last year that I don't think it's going to get nominated, but I really hope it does in one of the specific categories that I'm thinking about, and that's The Green Knight, because I absolutely adored that movie, and I also liked Lamb to a certain extent as well, because I also got a chance to see that recently, and I was just like, you know what? I really liked it, but The Green Knight specifically, I'm hoping it gets nominated in some category relating to sound audio design, because the sound in that movie was just so dense and just meaty in all the right areas that I was just like, this sounds amazing. And I hope, and even costume and makeup, like The Green Knight, even that in a sense, like the amount of work that they went into crafting that outfit, everything is just magnificent. And so I hope The Green Knight is nominated in at least those 2 categories. I'm not saying it has to be Best Picture or anything like that, but I hope that it had enough recognition to be nominated. Dune definitely is going to be one of them. Maybe even Best Picture. We're going to have to wait and see.
For Dune, Dune is definitely going to be on the Best Picture list.
For sure.
I'm very confident about that.
Exactly.
If I can expect like a few other films to round out Best Picture, I could definitely see Tick, Tick, Boom getting in there. I could definitely see it's weird, as polarizing as it was, I could definitely see Don't Look Up getting in there, because for whatever reason, the Academy definitely seems to like Adam McKay in his films, even though they're very, like I said, they're very polarizing. His last film, Vice, was fairly polarizing. That got a slew of nominations, including Best Picture. And The Big Short, same thing, and actually won for adapted screenplay. So they definitely seem to like him. I could definitely see King Richard getting in there for Best Picture. Coda, which is a movie about like a girl who wants to sing, but like she comes from an entirely deaf family. I didn't get a chance to watch that, but it did look interesting. And one film I do expect to get in there for Best Picture that I'm still not entirely sure how much I like it is Paul Thomas Anderson's film Licorice Pizza. And I know I was talking to you about this on the show a lot, and I like Anderson as a director, but there was just something about this movie that I'm like, okay, I like certain things around it. Like I do like the whole lackadaisical meandering plot because it kind of gave it all like an unpredictability to it, but at the same time, the quote romance right at the center of the film is between a 15-year-old and a 25-year-old, and I'm like, this feel like, what are you trying to get from me here? Like, what are you trying to say here? Like, there's just something that felt very off about it. So, and again, like a little bit of a spoiler here, like the movie starts out, like, he starts hitting on her. Again, he's 15, she's like 25. I think to myself, like, all right, like, he'll age a little bit by the end of the movie. He'll be 18. It won't be as weird. Spoiler alert, he's still very much 15 by the end of the movie, and she's still very much in her mid to late 20s by the end of the film. So I'm like, what the fuck? But again, I don't know. Maybe there's a sort of explanation out there that I just haven't been able to get, that I haven't been able to understand. But, again, if there's anyone that's listening that can further explain that, please go right ahead, because I'm honestly a bit confused here. But in terms of, like, of course, one of the other big categories at the Oscars is, of course, Best Director, which, again, that's, like, one of the categories that, like, I personally look at for sure, because, again, that's the thing that I want to do the most. And as far as, like, the surefire nominees, I could definitely see Denis Villeneuve getting nominated for Dune, because, again, it's just a massively well-done film. Steven Spielberg for West Side Story, Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, and Jane Campion for Power of the Dog, which leaves one more spot. And at least in my opinion, that one more spot can go to either Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, or hell, even Adam McKay for Don't Look Up. So, we'll just have to see as far as that one. My money at the moment is, I don't know, it's weird. It's really weird. I could see Adam McKay getting in there. I really don't know. It's tough to say the least.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oscar nominations are going to be, I think, quite something this year, especially with, even with the amount of movies that came out last year and the amount of good ones too. Like, and we've listed a lot of the good ones and a lot of the unique ones that stood out. So I'm, as a viewer of the Oscars, and do I give a damn? It's kind of like, no, but I do want to see at least some recognition from some films that I do enjoy that weren't just superhero movies, obviously.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much like superhero films.
Oh no,
get in there. I've heard buzz around.
I don't want them to get nominated. That's the thing. Like I have to me, Oscar nominations are like on a whole different level compared to like comic book movies. Like I don't feel like that's a whole different topic. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, a lot of times, most of them, like, when they do get nominated, it's for, like, technical things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unless you have, like, Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, getting nominated for that, and just, like, a slew of other things. Joker was a Best Picture nominee. Black Panther was the first comic book film to ever get nominated for Best Picture. So it does happen, but it's usually in, like, the technical categories. If there's one film I can see getting in a few technical nominations, honestly, it's probably Spider-Man No Way Home. I've heard buzz around visual effects. I've heard buzz around sound, which honestly would make sense.
Yeah, it would make sense, but again, for me, I want to see other movies. There's no need to push comic book movies for Best Picture or Oscars because it's like, it's their own thing. Like, again, it's a mixture for me. When it comes to Oscars, it's on a whole different pedestal. And they kind of show it too, just through some of the performances and how they approach, announcing the movies and everything. It's a whole different demeanor to it, where comic book movies also have their own unique style. So it's kind of like, I don't even want them to be nominated. Yeah, I said that.
Till after their Oscar campaigns. But yeah, no, we'll like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it'll be an interesting setup on Tuesday, to say the least. And like I said, I think for the first time in like a couple of years, like I honestly think a big chunk of the films that will be nominated will actually, deserve it. Because like how they're like quote Oscar movies, but like they're actually like really good movies and they don't always overlap. I feel like a lot of the films this year like could actually overlap with that.
Yeah, it could. And you know what? If just like to me, when it comes to nominations, it's just that just pick a good movie. That told a good story.
Yeah.
That's a better way of framing instead of what I just said with comic book movies.
So, yeah, what do you guys think of our predictions? Do you actually still care at this point? Wouldn't be surprised if you don't. Comment wherever it is that you can. And, alrighty, now to talk about the complete opposite of a stereotypical Oscar film, besides Bad Grandpa, which was actually nominated for Best Makeup a few years ago. We're gonna give our thoughts on what we just saw last night, Jackass Forever. 11 years since the last film, the Jackass crew is back for quote one final time, doing a bunch of hilariously gut-wrenching stunts. And again, like as per usual with Jackass, it's no real story. It's just a documentary of them doing stupid shit in what feels like a bunch of individual skits. And I'm gonna be honest, the vast majority of these stunts are absolutely hysterical. I laughed my ass off throughout the vast majority of this film. And now, I'm not going to lie, other than Family Guy parodying it, this is my first real experience watching Jackass. Like, Darius, have you ever been, are you a big fan of Jackass, like, before watching this
I
film?
love Jackass because of the stupid stuff they do.
Okay, alright, so you're more of a veteran than I am.
It's weird because even as much as I love Jackass, there are still certain things that I just can't watch because I'm also a human and I'm just like, just no.
I'm so happy you said that because, number one, I'm really happy that I, A, went with my guy friends to see this, and B, that we saw this in a full theater, because this is definitely a communal experience right here, like reacting to all the things that they do and witnessing all the things that they do. That has to be done with other people. You know what I mean? And I remember like seeing them do certain things and looking over to my right and watching you and Roberto like, look away or like cover your eyes. I'm like, nah, I'm in this to win this. I'm gonna watch this. I'm not gonna look away. I'm gonna give this all that I got, and I'm kind of proud that I did. I challenged myself not to look away, and I succeeded.
Oh man, like just some of the stuff they do, like this is definitely Jackass. Like that's for sure. They know what they're doing, and at the same time, as you're watching, especially the beginning. At first, I was like, what the hell is this?
Oh, my God.
But then I started really watching it, and I was like, oh, God, no. Yep, this is Jackass.
I'm like, what did I just walk into? And again, that opening scene, without giving too much away, like, it definitely sets its own for the rest of the film.
So, like, it's hard because it's just like, it has so much fun. That's the weird thing. Seeing people, oh man, it was just stupid. It was stupid fun.
Yeah, and it's just, again, like, it's, like, one of the things that I really enjoyed, and again, I guess this kind of plays into the whole thing of it, like, being just so much fun, was, like, I really enjoyed, like, the ball-busting, like, camaraderie with the members, or from the members of the Jackass crew, because, like, their fun was almost contagious, right? Like, it spread to the rest of us. But I also liked the celebrity appearances from Eric Andre, Machine Gun Kelly, Tyler, the Creator. Like, again, they all found a way to be funny in their own right, too. Despite, like, they fit in for these guys that I guess they were hanging out with for a couple of days, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, Tyler, the Creator. I don't want to spoil, but that was great. But, like, one of the things I love about Jackass 2 is you just, even when they bring in new people, you still get a sense of it's a family. And that's really cool, because at the end of the day, they all know they're just messing around with each other. They know the tonality of every single person. Even some of the women that did some of the stuff that they did, they were like, yo, it is what it is. Let's do it. I'm like, she a trooper.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that, like, for some of the women in the film, like, they didn't treat them with kid gloves either, which was really cool. And like I said, props to them for doing, there's one cast member in particular, props to her for doing some of the shit that she did. Because, like, again, like, whether I'm looking at all these stunts and I'm like, you can never pay me enough money to do any of this shit. Like, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, like, you need to really be a jackass to do some of the stuff. Pun intended.
I see what you did there. But no, it's just like, again, like just watching this film, like, you know, it's needless to say, it's fairly crude. You know, it's in the most like graphic way possible. Like you see anything and everything that the male body has to offer. Like I was a little like I wasn't put off by some of the camera angles, but I was definitely surprised because again, I'd never seen Jackass before. And just to go into a little tangent, you know, a few years ago, back when I was in high school, one girl that I liked, Darius, I think you know her. I took her out to see the film Gone Girl because I was not only did it look like a really good movie. Yeah, not only did it look like a really good movie, but every review that I read said that it was a really good date movie. And once I finished the film, I'm like, oh my god, I was lied to. And I thought that was the worst date movie ever until I saw the guy next to me bring his girlfriend to see this. And I'm like, nope, someone officially did it worse than I did.
Oh man, yeah, Gone Girl. No.
No, silly. No, like I was 17. All right, cut me a little slack, please.
But I think even with Jackass, like, I think it also depends on you as a person and what you can tolerate, and you know your understanding of the other person. So if two people want to see Jackass as a date movie, I mean, all right, but go ahead.
Like that's a special kind of relationship there. Like I don't know, like is that one that you sleep with one eye open for, or like do you hold on to like that? I don't know like what to do as far or what I do as far as that.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I had fun with it. Total fun. Definitely Jackass. I think if this is their last one, that's the thing. If this is their last one, I think they could have put more in. They could have done even bigger. I mean, there were some big stunts.
You think so?
For sure, but like really even stretch the length of the film. I don't care. I wanted to see more.
Mm-hmm. So now, one question that I do have for you, since you are more of an avid Jackass watcher than I am, like obviously this is their quote last film. You know, they've been doing this like after however many years now. Based on what you saw in this film, did it feel like they're slowing down at all?
Actually, yes. There were some things that I was just like, I don't think you needed to put that in. That could have been like at the end, like they usually do, of like the other skits and the other stuff they've done. But they put in, the movie. Like, yes, they still brushed it over, but it was just like, you could have taken that out and just put more of the meaty chunks in there. And just put more. If you have to stretch it to 2 hours, heck, I'm fine with that. 2.5, cool. But it's like, it was a mixture of how do you go out in a bang. And you can tell some of the people were actually kind of like, even they were like, this is getting a bit much.
Yeah, because it's funny that you're saying like, oh, stretch it to 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think their bodies can handle a 2 hour, 2.5 hour movie.
That one guy could handle
it.
The
fact that we got so the fact that we got an hour and 36 minutes, like that's without all they seem to be getting, a lot of them seem to be getting. That's kind of a miracle if you really think about it. I think Johnny Knoxville's is north of 50 right now.
Yeah, he's up there. So.
Oh my god! I honestly had a blast watching this movie. I guess what did you guys think of Jackass Forever? Are you like big fans of Jackass like Darius is like before going into this film? Comment wherever it is that you can. And just like that, that's all we got for you today. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube, and so much more. If you want to help out the show, come on, why wouldn't you want to help out the show? Please give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you can. And tune in next week as we review both Death on the Nile and the Book of Boba Fett. We'll see you then.
See ya.